Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Redeemed Marriage Podcast, and we are really excited to be back with you. Hey, we've said from the very beginning, this is real life. Real life, and we're going to do real life, and we're going to, and you know, a lot of the comments that we get is like, oh, y'all are so honest, and just real life. Well, what we are wearing and looking like right now is real life.
Can't smell us.
So we've been at the soccer fields all weekend, out of town actually. So drove back in, and we just wanted to make sure that we had the opportunity to post another podcast. So for those of you that are watching on video, because some people are watching on podcasts now. Listening on podcasts. If you're watching this, you can see we got the baseball cap, we got the soccer outfit.
I did throw on some earrings.
Oh, you look beautiful. So, hey, but if you're just listening on Apple Podcasts, you don't have to worry about what we look like.
That's right.
But speaking of that, we've been trying to promote because we just started our Apple Podcast a couple of weeks ago. So you can still see the videos on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Instagram. But we're trying to push the Apple Podcast because that's where more and more people can listen. And so we did a contest, and this is just a little bit of housekeeping before we get into it. So the message or the contest is we're giving away some prizes, and we talked about that a couple of weeks ago. But we're giving away some books, which came in today while we were gone. We're giving away a gift card so you can go on a date. And all you have to do is share this stuff. So from Facebook, you can go and share, and we'll enter you into the drawing. But the big thing, what we really want you to do is to go to Apple Podcast. And there's 3 ways that you can help us. You can subscribe, you can rate us, and then the big one is to leave a review. And so we have some reviews, and so Heather, why don't you read? You're going to read one of them.
Because it doesn't take long to do. This person just said, I love the length of your podcast. There's such amazing content in a short amount of time. I can listen while I'm getting ready or cooking dinner. Keep it up, guys.
So that means we need to keep this one short so we can
short and sweet on the communication.
So we got to stop talking about all this other stuff.
But what I love about the Apple Podcast and what I've had people tell me is they listen to it on the way to work or on the way back from work or while their kids out on the soccer field at practice, and you don't have to worry about finding the videos. So I think it's a good tool.
It's easy to find. So, but you can, I heard somebody say in a podcast this week that rating and reviewing is the currency of podcasts. So that's what you're doing, is that you're helping us to get that word out. So so that'd be awesome. And if you'll do that this week, we're going to draw later this week. And we
could do it live next Sunday.
We could. That'd be fun. All right. So we got to get into today's message. This is one that I have been dying. I don't know why. Like, I think the reason why is because like our personalities, like you're just kind of, whatever, you know, and like I love like a plan, and so like this tool is one that for me, it just like, it puts structure to communication. So here's what we're going to talk about: communication. Raise your hand if you have ever had communication problems in your marriage. We can't see you, but I am sure you are at least in your heart raising your hand. Everybody has communication problems, and probably when we talk to people, they say that's their number one issue, is just the whole communication thing. So there's different levels of communication. There is the business communication that every couple has to deal with.
This is one that you deal a lot with, like with kids. You go pick up kid A, I'll go pick up kid B, and we'll meet back. Or you pick up dinner, run by the grocery store, and then come home. Or I'll put the sheets on the bed, and you, I mean, just the constant to get something accomplished.
Right. So it's a A and a B, and it's like a straight line to get from A to B. So
there's no interpretation, misinterpretation. Do this.
Yeah, the problem is that a lot of times there is misinterpretation. If you need help with that part of your communication, that's something different. You got issues. No, everybody has those issues too. But this one is like, there's a point A and a point B, but it is not, it is all over the place. This is the communication that's dealing with emotions and feelings and things that couples just have to get through.
Yep.
And it could be about anything. But to start this off, we are going to actually tell you probably the most practical communication tool that you can at least get to jumpstart the communication
that we've learned, and we still use it.
Still use it. But I think that it would be helpful for us to kind of talk about some of the roadblocks in communication. Like, what are the things that happen? Like, we can identify specific things that's like, that's why that communication, or why we're not communicating right or well, is because this is what always happens.
Right.
And so I'll get started off because, and you can jump in and you can say some. We'll tell three or four of them. But I think first of all, sometimes communication doesn't even happen because one spouse has something that they want to share, they need to share, something's bothering them, something's hurting them, and they won't even bring it up to their spouse because they don't feel like it's a safe place.
I wonder why you chose that one.
Yes,
back in the day,
our marriage was that problem. But it's when one spouse doesn't feel like there's safety, because there's the whole, well, I'm not even going to bring this up because I know how it's going to end. We're going to fight. I know what he or she's going to say. I don't want to, or it could even be, I really don't want to hurt their feelings, or I just don't, I don't want to go there. I don't want to deal with this. But whatever it is, there's no safety.
Right.
And so that's the first step, is that making sure that you and your spouse are both in agreement to where you can speak freely and there's a safe space.
That's right. The one that comes to my mind is when the other spouse always tries to fix it. Like, there's so many times that people, that husband and wife, communicate with each other, and I want to tell Rusty something, and because he loves me, he wants to fix it.
And that's a personality trait too.
Absolutely. And I'm like, I don't need you to fix it. I just need you to listen and hear me and validate what I'm feeling. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to go, beat them up or take my side. I just need you to listen to how I'm feeling.
Yep. I think another one is that when we try to communicate, sometimes there's just no focus. Like, the spouse that is being loaded onto, they're either looking at their phone or they're thinking about what they just sent to somebody on their phone. They're thinking about work. They're thinking about, whatever else.
Or they're thinking about what they're going to say back.
Yep. And that one to me is a whole different, that's even a whole different.
And that also can be a part of the problem with the person choosing to do the talking, is they choose a terrible time to try to talk about it when kids are running around, or it's bath time, or
But you did bring up that point, the good point, that like a lot of times in communication, the roadblock is, you're telling me something and I'm already thinking about what I'm going to say next to defend myself, or even to try to fix it, or I don't even want to be talking about this, so here's my rebuttal to the whole thing. But you're not focused because you're just thinking about the next thing.
Oh, well, I do that, well, here's what you do.
So I think that kind of but I think that kind of covers a lot of the roadblocks. And so we're gonna start now. We're gonna tell you this. I've been dying to do this. I mean, I promise. I think I talk about it every single time.
And every time,
and I'm like, we gotta do communication.
I know. And I'm like, I think we could spend an hour, and that's but the review was it's short and sweet.
And it's fixing to be short and sweet, and it's fine. Okay, so when we went to our marriage intensive 9 years ago, the counselors there taught us, and for those of you who haven't heard about our marriage intensive, we went after our marriage crisis. We went and spent a week with 4 other couples that we did not know. We had 2 counselors, and we were in a group setting. It was unbelievable, and they gave us all sorts of tools. And this was just one of those that I just walked away going, that makes a lot of sense. Why wouldn't everybody do that? So it sounds a little bit cheesy, because the name of it is called a heart talk. Very cheesy, but that's okay, because what we're going to teach you how to do is to have a heart talk with your spouse. And basically what a heart talk is I have something that I need to share with my spouse, and I want to make sure that she hears it and she understands it, and there's not going to be all the interruption stuff. So there's rules that you play by when you have a heart talk. Okay, now this can be adapted as you learn how to actually do this.
And we were very structured the beginning, where we were like, follow the rules that he's fixing to tell you. And now we don't even really have to call it by name.
Right.
It's just, hey, I need to talk to you.
Yep. And we would recommend, as you're getting into this, that you do, make the cheesiness of it and follow the rules. So the first rule is that you ask for a heart talk, okay? So if I need to share something with Heather, I would come to her and I would say, hey, we need to have a heart talk. I need to have a heart talk. And you say, is this a good time? All right? That's the first step, asking if it's a good time.
I can hear people laughing.
Yeah, well, when they do it, they're going to be like, genius. But here's the deal.
It's never a good time.
If you are asked to have a heart talk, look, some people, you can't just blow it off, because you're going to have to come back to it. But if you are not in a place where you can receive what's going to be said to you, it could be something good, but if you're not fully focused, like Heather said, kids are running around, it's time. It's not like when you're in the middle of something, you don't go up and say, hey, we need to have a heart talk. Like, you just ticked me off, so we're going to have a heart talk. It's not that. It is this a good time? And be honest. You need to be in a place where you can sit your phone aside. You're not going to watch if it buzzes. You're not paying attention to it, whatever. You are completely focused. Yep. So that's the first step. The first step is the one spouse saying, we need to have a heart talk. Is this a good time? The other spouse is able to say no or yes. But if you say no, you need to be able to say, give me about 15 minutes or give me about 30 minutes to get in the right frame of mind. Because it could be that there's some tension that may have just happened and you just know, I'm not ready for this. So
and it could even be the next day. You could even say, hey, tomorrow, let's put the kids down early, and have it structured where there's a time for y'all to talk. It's best to do it that day because it's fair.
Yeah, that's right.
But if it's late at night or it's early in the morning and you're trying to get kids out the door and all that, it's okay to say, let's wait until it's
Not
calmer.
good if you're laying in bed dozing off and your spouse goes, hey, let's have a heart talk.
Right.
No. Let's put this one off. Right. So that's your first, and then as you're doing this, I need to be, if I'm coming to Heather with a heart talk, I need to be able to know this is safe. She's going to follow the rules and everything's going to be safe. I can share what I need to share.
Right.
Okay. So that's the easy part,
one.
Right?
I need to have. Some people it may not be.
No, that's right.
Say we need to talk.
No,
it's
that
gotten
is
easier.
very, very.
It's gotten
You're
easier.
right. You're right. So then the next part is the spouse that calls the heart talk. They get the opportunity to share whatever it is. And look, I would, and I'm almost begging, as you're starting this, don't make a heart talk negative every time. Because then when you go to your spouse and you say, hey, we need to have a heart talk, and they go, oh my gosh, here we go again. It could be something like, today when we were doing this and this and you said this to me, I just want you to know how that made me feel. That was incredible. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. So it doesn't always have to be negative, and don't make it always negative. But you want to be able to share with your spouse whatever's on your heart, knowing it's a safe place. And the reason why you know it's a safe place is because if your spouse follows the rules, they are not going to say a word.
They're not going to say a word. So as the spouse that's listening, that's your only job, is to listen. You don't get to roll your eyes. You don't get to look down. You don't get to respond. You don't get to defend yourself. You don't get to do anything except listen.
Right, and the beauty of that is that if you know you're not going to be responding, you're not thinking about what your response is going to be.
That's right.
Because that's the natural tendency is you're just thinking what I'm going to say to get back at them
or
whatever it might be. But if you know that all you're doing is listening, the other big part of that is you're going to basically repeat back to your spouse what they said.
Yep.
So you have to be listening, because if you don't repeat it back, they get to say it again. And nobody wants that to happen, right? So basically what you're doing is you're listening, you hear what's being said, and you say, okay, when they're done, and
you need to let me do my part.
Okay, go.
So as the listener, like he shared, I didn't say a word. When he's done, I then say, what I heard you say was, and I repeat what he said.
In summary.
Not you don't need to be a smart aleck about it, but like you just summarize what I hear you saying is that when I do this, or this, it bothers you, or when I hurt you when I did this, and this. And there have been times where I say, no, that's not what I said at all. So let's try this again. And which is great, because that would have been a huge misunderstanding if you didn't say, no, okay, either I didn't say it right, or you didn't receive it right, but that is not what I meant. So, and then you try again.
Yeah. And I think that's a great point, because it's not always the person that heard it. It's not that they heard it wrong. You may have said it wrong in trying to get out what you wanted to say. Yeah. So it's really important that you say that, because what you're saying is, you're saying, I heard you.
That's right.
You want them to know that I heard you. And when they come back and say, yes, that's what I said. All right. The final step to that is that the person that received it, they need to be able to say, whether you agree with it or not. You may be sitting there going, this is baloney. That didn't happen this way, or I don't agree with this. But it's their feelings, and it's your opportunity to say, okay, I understand what you just said, and I validate your feelings and what you said, and how you're not offering an apology if that needs to be done. None of that. It is just
not you're right and I'm wrong.
Yep, I get it. I get what you're saying. You're validating your spouse and the way they feel, because maybe they are wrong, but they still feel that way. So you're just validating, yes, you have feelings, and these are your feelings, and I want you to know that I heard it, I understand it. And here's the best part of this. It's over. Done. Like, that is it. And then you cannot turn around and say, okay, fine, I need to call a heart talk. It doesn't work that way. Like, it's over. And it's okay to revisit it.
Sure.
But it's not okay to revisit it anytime soon.
That's right.
Like, let some time pass so that you can digest what's been said, so that they can digest what they've done, and that you validated their feelings. But the worst thing that you can do is to come back 10 minutes later and say, okay, now I need to call a heart talk. And then now you get to listen to what I have to say about what you just said.
Right.
It is okay at times for after you've sat on it for 10 or 15 minutes and be able to go, gosh, I was wrong there.
That's right.
And then go back and say, hey, you know what? I've thought about it, and you're right. Whatever you were saying, I get it now. So
that's right.
I'm telling you, if you put these things to practice, it will completely change the way you communicate with each other. We didn't talk about doing this today. I've been wanting to do this for a while, but we had a heart talk.
I think that's what spurred your memory.
Well, it probably did, because we were on our way home from the soccer tournament. We had about 2 hours in the car on the way back. And Heather said, hey, first of all, you tried to do it in the restaurant.
Yeah, that one. Well, he was at the bathroom.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to take long.
But we got back in the car, and I said, hey, what were you trying to tell me?
And Bacon had his ears.
And she started, and, it was not, she didn't come to, we've been doing this for so long, she didn't come to me and say, hey, we need to have a heart talk. But as soon as she started talking, I knew this is a heart talk. I'm not going to try to fix this. I'm going to listen to her And when you finished, what did I say to you?
Oh, great. You put me on the spot.
No, I didn't even say, like I literally just said,
Yeah.
I said, I understand.
That's all you said.
I understand. So,
And I even said, I think you said thank you for telling me, and I understand.
yeah. So we don't go through all of the steps anymore because, like, literally, I knew as soon as she started, I was like, this is a heart talk. Like, she didn't have to say, I just knew. And so I followed the rules, and we had a good conversation. And now I really understand it, and it's great. So, man, I'm telling you, I just think, and maybe it's because, like, for you probably didn't even think we had communication problems, but holy cow, it works, people. I'm telling you, do the heart talk. And like I said, make it fun too. It doesn't always have to be something bad and negative. It can be something fun and positive. So make sure you mix that in so that you're both always open and willing to have the heart talk.
Yep. You did great, babe. And you kept it short. I'm proud of you.
Maybe. We don't know how long these things are. But that was fun. So, look, go to our podcast. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you rate, make sure you review. Give us a review on what you think about the heart talk.
Yeah.
Like if you do do a heart talk, like tell us.
Oh, and our first heart talk bombed, just for the record. Remember, we were at the intensive.
Yeah.
And they sent us out to do a heart talk. It did not go.
So try again.
Yeah,
but follow those rules. And like if you get into this and you just don't remember, watch the video again, watch the podcast, or listen to the podcast again, or reach out to us, and like we can actually give you the steps if you need to.
And if you have questions, or if you tried it and something went awry, or it went great, let us know, and then we can talk about it again. Because communication is not a one episode podcast.
No.
It's a lot.
We could talk about this a long time.
But this is a great tool to get started.
Yep. So hopefully that's a big help to you guys. And until next time.
Because we're drawing next week.
We'll draw next week. 1 week. Make sure you're forwarding this or share it, whatever, and do all the other things on podcast.
See you next time.
See you then.